I have a feeling that 2023 is going to be my year and I want to make that happen. I say I'll try to do this, I'll try to do that out, and it's not really empowering. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Poppy and it is so good to have you here. It's been a minute since I filmed my last video because I've been on a long break, I've been on a holiday, and I hope you had a good Christmas and New Year off. But I am back now on content creation and I am so excited for what I have planned for in terms of content for year 2023. I cannot believe I just said that because oh my god, 2022 flew by. Anyway, and in today's video I want to talk about goal setting, my personal goals for 2023. If you follow me for a while, you knew that last year I shared my financial goal for 2022 and I actually did manage to achieve quite a lot of them. However, this year I want to cover all other aspects of my goal as well. So apart from financial goal, there are also some other goals that I want to cover. And to be honest, for this year 2023, all other areas of my life will become more important. And as we go through the goals and this video, you'll come to understand why that is the case. And I do hope that this video will become helpful for you if you're someone who's still setting goals. And you know what, it's never too late. I am actually filming this on the 8th of January. Some people think that you have to like set your goals on the 1st of January, but I do think that you can just set your annual goals or quarterly goals anytime that you want, because it's never ever too late. I think it's a theme in this channel anyway, it's never too late to do anything. Before we go through my goals for the year, I want to touch on how I come up with these goals in general. I made a video a couple of months ago, I think in December, about how I want to design my life or redesign my life, and that comes from the person that I want to be or where I want to be in a very far future, let's say 7 years from now or 10 years from now. And then I think about my short-term vision, so between 1 to 3 years, where do I want to be, and from there I work on who I want to be or the goals that I want to achieve for this year. So before I sat down and set my year 2023 goals, I actually looked at these two first. I'll be covering my health goals, wealth goals, knowledge goals, and maybe a little bit about my relationships goals. It is quite personal and I am sure you don't want to be bored with what I plan to do with my relationship, but just to give you a clear or better direction of where I want to be or what I'm doing this year. I do plan and track all my goals on Notion, so that is sort of the app or the template that you'll be looking at today. I will have this template linked in the description and I will be giving this out for free in case you haven't set out your goals, or if you want to start using Notion to set your goals, then you can do that as well. So the words for me for this year is I want to thrive and balance at the same time. I know it sounds contradicting and it may be difficult, but I want to aim to combine those together because I do know, I have a feeling that 2023 is going to be my year and I want to make that happen in the way that I don't burn myself out or sacrificing too much of my personal life like I did in previous years, which I'll talk about that in a little bit. But let's start with health goals. So in the far future, what I want to be, what I see myself being is I want to be active and healthy physically and mentally. So that is my general overarching vision for myself in the next 10 years, which means that in 1 to 3 years, my goals can be broken down into two things. So first of all, being healthy physically, and second of all, being healthy mentally. So in terms of physical health, in 1 to 3 years, these are the things that I want to aim to achieve, which is I want to minimize my sugar consumption. I am originally from Thailand and we do consume a lot of sugar. You know, in terms of cooking, we put a lot of sugar in our food. If you've been to Thailand, you probably try Thai coffees or Thai tea, and they are full of sugar. And that is kind of the things or the food that I've grown up with, the taste that I am used to. And you know, I am in my mid-30s now and sugar is probably not the best for my body, and I could probably do with consuming less of them. Second goal that I've set for myself is to work out 5 days a week. Again, I am at the age where just eating healthy, although it's very good, but it's not really enough, and I will require working out, which I do absolutely not enjoy. But yeah, that will be my goal for the next 1 to 3 years. I also want to try to eat vegetables in every single meals. And again, you may think this is silly, but how I've grown up, the foods that I've been eating, sometimes I could go a few days without having vegetables at all. I would just eat carbs and meat, and I don't think that's the best for my body, or anyone's body for that matter. The fourth one that I want to be doing to get a good physical health is minimize my alcohol intake. Now, alcohol was never really a problem growing up. However, since I moved to the UK, I have consumed alcohol a lot more, and I think my main problem with alcohol is actually mental clarity. It takes me a couple of days after drinking to sort of get back on track, get back to normal again, which means that those days I am not really productive and my mind is not very clear. I become very lazy. I am just, moping around, and I just don't enjoy, or actually I don't like myself being like that. So I am minimizing my alcohol intake. But these are what I aim to achieve in 1 to 3 years. So from there, I am picking out some of the stuff that I want to implement for year 2023. And for me, minimizing sugar consumption, incorporating some workout into my weekly routine, and minimizing alcohol intake will be the goals for this year in terms of my physical health. Now let's look at each of them in a bit more detail. So in terms of minimize my sugar consumption, I will start that straight away. I think that is very important. So my plan for that is in January and February, I will remove sugar from my daily coffees completely. Now I am drinking my coffee now, and this doesn't have any sugar in it, but normally what I would do is I would have a small cup of coffee with 1 teaspoon of sugar first thing in the morning, and then after I get ready, before I sit down and start working, I will have another big cup, like this size cup of coffee, and that will contain 2 teaspoons of sugar. So actually before 9 o'clock in the morning, I would have had already 3 teaspoons of sugar. And we're just talking about sugar in coffee, not like, sugar from bread or anything else that I consume. So I think cutting down on that would really help. So my daily action for this particular goal is to not consume any sugar, and I plan to track that on my habits tracker, which I will show you in a little bit after talking about all these goals. So next, when it comes to workout, I want to start in quarter 1 and quarter 2. So from January to June, I want to start working out, incorporating workout 3 days a week. Now this is personally for me very difficult. I am someone who doesn't really get motivated by going to the gym or working out in general. In my teen or in my 20s, I was in an environment that there was an immense pressure for girls to look certain way, and I did actually went on various different types of diets, and I also exercised religiously, not to be healthy but to look a certain way. And that kind of has an impact on me now in my adult life, where if I label something workout, I associate myself with my younger self, and somehow I sort of don't want to do it, because I don't want to go back to that phase of life where I was working out really hard, literally starving myself so that I can look the same as all other girls. But I need to shift my mindset a little bit, because now the reason why I'm doing it is because I want to feel healthy and be healthy. So it is going to be challenging mentally for me and physically as well, I would say. In terms of my mental health goal for the next 3 years, I want to be more positive about myself. I grew up being very pessimistic about the world, and in turns, I was also being pessimistic about myself, and I want to change that. So I want to be more positive about myself, so positive self-talk. And another thing I want to do is when I encounter a problem or an issue, I want to find solutions to that problem and focus on the solution rather than focusing on the problem itself. Next thing is to focus on myself. I've talked about this before. We're living in a world where we are bombarded with how other people live their life, the lifestyles of other people. And because of that, we are kind of losing touch on who we are as a person. So this year I really want to head on focusing on myself and who I want to become, being my best self and not comparing myself with anyone else. So that is the goal for next 3 years. But for this year, what I want to focus on is, in terms of positive self-talk, I want to replace the word I will try with I will. Now, I say I'll try to do this, I'll try to do that, I'll try this out. I say that a lot, and it's not really empowering. I find, you don't really want to try to do something, because if you try to do something, that's kind of signaling that you never achieve or you never do that thing because you try. So I want to replace that word completely with I will, or the word I can. And I want to get rid of that word that I say I can't do this, I can't do that, because again, it's not a very empowering language. And if there's something that I really don't want to do because it's either not the person that I am, or it's really not helping me becoming the person that I want to become, instead of saying I can, and alcohol consumption is, for example, instead of saying I can't drink today, I would just say I don't drink, because again, that is just a better language to use to help me reaching my goals. The next thing is journaling. Journaling is something that I started doing right around the last 2 months of 2022, and oh my god, I've never thought something could be really life-changing, but it was. In terms of being more tuned with myself and understanding myself more, I used to think that journaling was like something so silly, like why do you have to sit down and write all these things about yourself? But it actually really helped, and ideally I want to be journaling every single day. But of course, in terms of habits building, I'm not sure if you're aware, but it takes around 60 days minimum to build some sorts of habits. So I will start off by journaling at least 3 times a week and see how that goes. Now that we got health out of the way, the next one, which is also a juicy one, which is wealth. My overarching goals, or my vision for my wealth in the next 7 to 10 years, is that I want to be working, I will be working 5 hours a day maximum, and while earning 6 figures at the same time, and help as many people as I possibly can. So that is, in short, where I want to be in 10 years. But of course, I'll aim to get there in a little bit less time. So with that, there's 2 parts that I need to think about when I set out my goals. And the first part is minimizing hours worked while earning the same money or more money. And the second part is helping changing people's lives. Now let's look at the minimizing hours, because I think this part is probably going to be the one that some of you may find interesting as well, because if some of you found me from my finance videos, then this you probably find really interesting. What I plan for to get to the point where I work 5 hours a day, that means that I need to, apart from having a full-time job, in 3 years I also need to find other income on the side, and that means I need to start selling products, I need to start selling services, and I will start a business. But what I want to focus this year, for the year 2023, is actually selling products, and those are digital products. Now I released a digital product end of last year, I think it was just last month, and it was very, very well received. So this year what I want to do is practically I want to rinse and repeat what I did with my previous digital product. I will be releasing one digital product every quarter, so that means 4 digital product a year. So I will list that on my website, and I will also list that on Etsy as well. So there are 2 channels where I'll be selling these products. And how I plan to make this happen is that I will allocate a whole day on the weekend to work on these digital products. Another financial goal, which is not really kind of related to the hours worked, but I wasn't sure where to put it, is my saving goals. I do have saving goals every single year, and last year I planned to save I think 35 or 40% of my income, and again this year I am doing the same. Now I want to touch on this a little bit, because with the high cost of living and everything that is going on now, saving 35% of my income is actually quite difficult. But as some of you know, I already have another side income already on my spare room rental, which is Airbnb. So that income actually really helps a lot in terms of, making sure that my saving rate doesn't go down. Airbnb gives me and my husband, both of us combined, around £7,000 a year. So that is actually a pretty decent income for literally not really doing much at all. So if you're ever thinking of, renting out your spare room or doing Airbnb, I highly recommend. I personally never earn any money so quickly. I basically set up my listing on Saturday night, and it took me like an hour and a half or 2 hours. 10 hours after, on a Sunday morning, I got a booking for a whole month, and that was £1,000. The next wealth goal is not really financial wealth, but I think it's more of a fulfillment sort of wealth, if that makes any sense. But it is helping changing people's lives, and in 3 years I want to really help 5,000 people. And for me, this is kind of like just a numbers game. If I produce YouTube videos or Instagram videos, and let's say 1% of people that watch my videos just follow through my tips and they found that helpful and life-changing, then that means I need 500,000 people in my community. And as you know, I am a finance controller, and which means I am also a team leader. So I want to mentor my colleague for a promotion, and I think a natural step move for me in terms of my career would be become a CFO, which is something that I aim to do in the next 1 to 3 years. But for this particular year, for 2023, I want to focus on helping 1,000 people, which means that I need to grow my community, YouTube and Instagram, to 100,000 followers or subscribers. And this is when it can become a little bit tricky, because although I want to grow my channel and my subscriber to a certain size, I want to do it in a way that it is balanced for my life. I moved to the UK 5 years ago, and in the first 3 years of living in the UK, I spent around 10 hours or 20 hours a week studying on the side of my full-time job. And once the study was done, then I jumped straight away onto YouTube. So the past 2 years, I spent 15 or 20 hours out of my weekly hours doing YouTube videos, and which means that I had to sacrifice a lot of my personal life, family life, which was fine at the time, but it's definitely not something that I want to be doing this year and going forward. And as much as I recognize that hard work is very important when it comes to success, I've been reading this book called The Unfair Advantage, and I actually agree with a lot of things that the authors are saying, because although you can work very hard, another thing that is important and not many people talk about is the element of luck, or the advantage, or the privileges that we all have. So therefore, this year, how I want to reach the number of my community, or reaching my goal, is not only by working harder, but also by working smarter. And I really do believe that I can do this year, where I can thrive and reaching all the goals that I want to reach while having a little bit of balance and not burn out. So that's all my wealth goals done. I feel like I was talking about that for ages, but I mean, that is quite an important part of my personal growth in my life. In terms of personal growth, another part that is very important and something that I always strive for is I always want to be like a lifelong learner. I never once believed that you go to university, that's all you learn and that's it. Life, guys, is a journey, and every day is a learning field, and that's how I see it. So the vision that I have for myself in the very far future, I want to actually be speaking multiple languages. Of course, I do speak English and I am fluent in English. I am native in Thai, but I want to be fluent also in another language. And in order to increase my knowledge, I need to be reading or doing some studying. So my 3 goals for this year in terms of knowledge is reading and starting on learning another language, which I'm so excited about. Let's talk about reading first. In terms of reading, I will be reading one book per month, and I'll put that in my habits tracker and also my goals tracker. So I think this is a very achievable for me. With everything that I want to do, I will still be able to have time to read one book per month, and that is something that I'll be doing all year round. I'll start from January. I am already reading a book. In terms of language, I won't start that in quarter 1 or quarter 2 because I have another goal which is more pressing and more important, which is driving. We'll talk about that in a second. But for language, I will start that goal in quarter 3, and so I'll need to think about this a little bit more because I haven't actually decided on which language I want to pursue next. So a little bit of background, I do salsa dancing and I listen to a lot of Latin music, Spanish music anyway, so I thought it would make sense for me to learn Spanish. However, in the economic side of things or in future business pursuit, I think Mandarin would be a better language to learn. So I have also put that on my list as a language to learn. However, there is another twist here, which is that my husband is actually fluent in Dutch. So I think maybe Dutch can be a language that I can learn and be fluent at, and it could actually be beneficial for my personal life. I'll decide which language I want to do and enroll in quarter 3, but definitely a goal for me to pursue this year. Now, more pressing goal for me in quarter 1, or right now actually, which is driving. I had driven in the past. However, driving in the UK is a completely different ball game. You know, there's a lot of roundabouts which I'm not really used to, and quite frankly, a little bit scared to go onto roundabouts. So this is super pressing and something that I will achieve this first quarter of this year. So that's all of my goals, and let me just show you quickly how I plan to track all these goals. Like I said, some of the goals will be in the habits tracker because some of the goals are better to track as habits, daily habits, but some of the goals, they may not require actions from me on a daily basis, but they will require actions from me on a monthly or weekly basis. So let's look at the goals that I track on a daily basis. I have this habits tracker which I track all my habits here. As we talked about, the goals that I mentioned before that I'll be implementing this year is exercise, journaling, no alcohol, reading, and I also add a YouTube post on that as well because I want to be consistent on YouTube. And also I will be minimizing my time scrolling on my phone in first thing in the morning. So I've added those on my habits tracker. Again, we're on the 8th of January today, so I have ticked off the things that I know for sure that I will not be doing, or I will be doing more like. So reading I already done. I am posting on YouTube today. I'm definitely not going to be having any alcohol today, and I won't be doing any exercise, and I will probably be doing journaling tonight, so I might as well just tick that off. I didn't actually scroll on my phone in the morning, so that is done as well. So this is how I am tracking my habits. However, some of the goals are going to be the goals I put on my goals tracker. So I have a yearly annual goals tracker here, so let me show you quickly what it looks like. I will probably do a video about this template in more in depth. I'm just going to show you quickly so you get an understanding of how those goals transfer into something that I implement on a weekly, monthly or daily basis. So one of the goals that I did say is to come up with one digital product every quarter. So we're on quarter 1 here. Of course, I will be doing one digital product, and I already know what I am going to do. It is going to be the budget and tracker template, which I already released last month, but that was in a Microsoft Excel version. So for this quarter, I'll do a Google Sheets version. So how I'll track it is, I'll list all the tasks that I need to do, designing the template, filming the instruction videos, testing the template, and launching. And I'll have a due date for each of these activities. And with all the goals I have for this quarter, at the bottom, it will list out all the goals that I have and when each task or each activities are due. So this template on Notion is really handy. I am still working on this template, by the way. I will let you know when it is ready to be released. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you don't mind, do share your 2023 goals in the comments. I am looking forward to reading them. But that's it for me for today. I will see you in the next video.